Good morning, good morning, do, 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 good morning to you. Good morning, welcome to a daily dose of joy. We are here dosing our brains on the fly throughout the day, but starting in the morning together in solidarity to set this clear intention for our day. We're building in the habits of a joyful life. We're leveraging neuroscience to optimize the dose chemistry, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, those positive neurotransmitters in our brain. When those flood our brain, life has a feeling of ease and clarity and vibrancy and joy. And we can do it with these simple habits. And if you need a bigger practice, go to DNRS and rewire your brain with a full approach. But this is one of the tools that I use, the habits I built in to support that brain rewiring practice, to elevate my state, to shift my perspective. These were my day-to-day habits, are my day-to-day habits and tools to optimize what I got up there, to really be able to live as my full self. Today we're going to use the microdosing tool called the Slo Mo Flow. And the Slo Mo Flow, it's a container. It's just a container of stillness and silence for 5 minutes. If you only have a minute, do it for a minute. If you only have 30 seconds, do it for 30 seconds. The idea is to build in the habit, repeated for the rest of our lives, where we pause with ease and joyful anticipation of stillness and quiet. We've left behind the days where we were afraid of stillness and quiet because there was a mean girl and a bully and a rusher in our head that was uncomfortable with stillness and quiet. And we've cultivated a life where we pause every day for maybe 30 seconds some days, maybe a half hour throughout the day some days. It's a habit, it's a part of who we are, that we pause for stillness and quiet. And it's okay if right now that feels like herding cats or wrestling monkeys. It's all right. It's a habit that comes over time to be a joyful, easy pattern. So within that 5-minute container, the Slo Mo Flow, the brain likes that repetition. That's why we have the Slo Mo Flow. It's a microdosing habit we can use for the rest of our lives. Structure, repetition. The brain also loves novelty and innovation. And that's part of what being here with me in the mornings is part of what I wanted when I was in the midst of my storm. Was I knew I wanted stillness and quiet, but having somebody bring in some novelty and innovation to give me a different prompt when I was wrestling monkeys and say, "Oh, over here, just play with this idea for just a minute." That's all I needed to do. Just a minute here, just a minute there, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, until it became easy. And so within that structure and repetition of 5 minutes of stillness and quiet is novelty. I give y'all all sorts of different prompts when we do our Slo Mo Flow. Sometimes I've talked about moving the body in slow motion as sort of a positive point of focus to being in stillness and quiet for 5 minutes. I've talked about feeling a sensation and just returning all of your thoughts to that sensation, like holding a baby. I've talked about, just looking at something of beauty and letting your eyes rest on that. I've talked about listening to your breath. I've talked about just being really present, feeling your feet on the earth. There's infinite, inspired ways to prompt ourselves into the ease of stillness and quiet. So This is the container that we're going to repeat forever. But every meditative practice out there you can try, you can dabble with and put in, and maybe do that. That might be your 5-minute practice. That might be your slow-mo for a year. It might be it for a day. Just follow your own joy. Follow what feels like gives you a little relief, a little ease, or great, profound ease and joy. So today, the prompt, if I may, for our Slo Mo Flow is I thought I'd muse a little bit on a quote that I heard from India.Arie, an amazing singer who was nominated for, I think it was 7 Grammys and didn't actually win any of them. Well, and the wisdom that came out of that for her was that she said, my self-worth is an inside job. It's an inside job. It's how I feel about me. And I just find that inspiring to remember, regardless of the conditions around me, regardless of what may be coming at me, regardless of how I might interpret something, or regardless of the little voices in my head that might want to go off in the other direction, this is my work. It's an inside job. It's an inside job. And inside of me, if I allow it, is my inner being who is always on my side, who is always championing me, who sees my worth and my value. And getting to where I could hear my own inner voice, my own inner being, have that voice be louder than my mean girl, little silly false statements going on, pinging around, was practicing all these microdosing tools, building in these habits, and it gets easier and easier and easier. And so another quote from India.Arie, she said when she was struggling with something that feels like a reach for her, is she asked herself an if question. And that's one of the things I encourage when we're doing deeper truths, is if something feels too far out of reach, well, ask yourself, I like the idea of it, or may I have this or that? And so her question was, what if I am worthy of blank? So what if I am worthy of believing in that inner voice? What if I am worthy of making that cheerleader, that wise woman, that lover, my counsel, the voice I listen to? What would that feel like? What if I believed, Winston, just for even 30 seconds, that there is native in me peace and love for myself and worthiness? What if I sink into the arms of feeling completely worthy? What would that feel like? What if, for just maybe 10 seconds, I believed I was worthy of pausing from the to-do list and sitting in stillness and quiet to connect to my self and the universe? from this place, let's step into 5 minutes stillness and quiet. Let's take 3 solidarity breaths. Let this moment sink in. Our connection, our solidarity to choose joyful habits for the rest of our lives. May today surprise and delight you and me. I love this time together, and I'll see you tomorrow.